Okay. Good morning. Good
Good
morning, Vietnam, I guess. We're not actually good morning, Vietnam, but we could say
Oh.
good morning, Japan. That's about as close to Vietnam as we can go. Okay, because I know we've got Dr. Dyson is in Japan, and he is watching. And hopefully Dr. Bird's like 1 o'clock in the morning. So I'm going to kill a little time and just start a little conversation about yesterday. First of all, no fault of anybody's, but some people had some trouble getting on. It's normal. It happens. It's unfortunate, of course, but, such is life. And hopefully the picture, and, that was the first time we did that. Today's day 2. So I'm using a different part of my camera. I'm using straight ahead. I changed the room up a little bit. I darkened the board. I didn't have a thick Sharpie, and I spaced on getting one this morning. I just got hung up with a couple things. So we'll live and learn. Next time I do this, I think I'm going to try to do it maybe on a big TV screen instead of a projector. And we'll see how that goes, because this seems to be a nice way. I got some nice texts, some nice emails yesterday from people that said that this kind of setup is really good. They don't have to travel. They're not tired. And yeah, they're not getting the hands-on, but from a perspective of getting new information and current information and ways to see it easier. The further we go down the path, the better we see it. The further we stand away from something, the more we see. And that seems to be what's happening. And yesterday, you had a conversation with me at a philosophical level, because chiropractic is art, science, and philosophy. We had a philosophical conversation about chiropractic. Okay, and I saw something this morning it was a post, and somebody posted in chiropractic, "Hey, I got something new. Okay, I got something new that no one's ever seen." And I'm not generally somebody that puts out information, but I guess yesterday kind of fires me up a little bit. I think I got something new too, and I just said to the person, as a chiropractor, in so many words, if it helps us with the current model of understanding posture and how to support that, then that's something I want to hear, right? Because everything else is peripheral. Everything else is peripheral, because our prime directive is to be able to understand human posture, and it's not the spine. It's human posture, so that we can look at things at a level of how things are breaking down. And yesterday we spoke about what's normal. Okay? You got to know what's normal in trauma. And what I've seen over the past 10 years, and this will grow, God knows, I'm going to say it again. I don't have the answer. I just have, something better than I had last week and a week before, and, and 10 years ago. So my focus is trying to look at the feet all the way up to the head, and look at it as structure function. That's what we do. It's been structurally damaged, and it's been multiply structurally damaged. And the picture that we see that stands in front of us is the culmination of that whole person's life. It's not, well, I had a car accident. It's everything. It's the Fruit Loops they ate for breakfast. It's all in it together, because the human body is just one thing. Okay? It's not separate. We have to try to understand it at our level, at some linear level, so we can relate to it as well as possible. And that's the process of this class, especially in chiropractic. So what I've seen is there are 2 patterns. And, up to last year, I saw only one pattern. Okay, and that was this one. This pattern right here, pattern 1. Okay, I call it pattern 1 because it was the first one that I saw. Okay, and once I saw pattern 2, I realized that I wasn't seeing the pattern right. And yes, some people are like this, but the majority of people live in this space. Okay, there's nobody lives in this space. 0. I've yet to see one person live in this space in the frontal plane, and this place in the sagittal plane. Haven't seen it. Textbook. Even if you look in textbook, okay, Yoakum and Rowe, the textbook isn't even textbook. It's not even perfect, okay? It's not even perfect, okay? Because it's impossible. Because once we hit gravity, guys, we are going to break down. Once we get pulled out of the pot, we have damage. We damage the balloon. And so the first thing is when a patient walks in is we have to be able to evaluate them. And when we can evaluate them with some numbers and some letters and kind of stuff, we get to visualize stuff. And what I try to do is visualize things three-dimensionally. You know, how's this person? You know, it's just one thing that's swinging around. It's modulating, trying to get up to center. It's breaking down in gravity. Okay, it ate junk. It doesn't eat junk. You know, how's its energy capacity? So that we look at three things, that configuration of the 6 sections: the legs, the pelvis, the spine, the shoulders, the neck, and the head. And the body modulates from bottom up. Okay. Okay. Let me say that. Yeah. So if I have a problem with my pelvis, meaning trauma to the pelvis, the thing above is the thing that modulates. Okay. Foundational theory with writing reflex sitting on top. Okay, so it modulates above. So that being said, every single human that I've seen has been damaged, and they fall into these two patterns. This one, and that is this pattern. This is the pelvis. This is the spine. The pelvis and spine are made to be moving together. Look at the joint. Okay. Look at the joint between the sacrum and L5. Okay. Look at the facets. They run like this. We're not made to do this. We're made to glide this way. That's smooth. Do that down there. You know what I say? No bueno. No good, man. Okay? So these two guys always go together in every pattern. If you see that they don't, guess what? Take your finger. Here's your pelvis. And instead of doing this with it, do that with it. And then jump on it 1,000 times at 150 pounds a human and see how that joint feels good. L5 problem. Hey, but we know, hey, L5 is like the biggest problem all the place. And you know what? C5. Okay, well, why? Why? Okay, because that happens when these two guys don't integrate and they're damaged. Okay, so what do you think the body tries to do? It tries to bend. You know, the nervous system, which does everything, and everything is there to support it, the heart, the lungs, everything, your knees, your eyes, your nose, every single thing there is to support your nervous system and its experience with the inside-outside world.
Hey, Russell?
Yeah.
Turn on the record button.
It's on. It's been on. Woo! I got it right. Okay.
There's time for everything.
Thank you. So that nervous system is there. That nervous system is there, and that's all there is, man. And that thing will try to sustain homeostasis, okay, as much as possible all the time. And guess what? It does it at 100% all the time. That's a law. We know that principle, okay? Unipersonal intelligence gives 100%. Innate intelligence responds 100%. Chiropractic philosophy, 101, man. It's not even 101. It's from birth. This pattern right here, so you see these problems. This pattern right here deviates from this pattern for one reason, and one reason only, is that the weight on this one is on the opposite side of the pelvis and the spine. The weight in this one is on the same side. Okay, so one goes here and there, and one swings out like this and like that. Okay, and the weight to me is generally below the pelvis, because that's where all the meat and potatoes are, man. That's where the glutes are. Okay, glutes down. Okay. So and that's not 100%, but that's a really nice general statement that, you know, here the legs are swinging the opposite side. I mean, excuse me, the pelvis and the spine are swinging the opposite side of the weight, where here they're staying together. Okay. So one of them, the weight in the pelvis and the spine go together. The other one, the pelvis is low, The spine is low, but the weight, the legs are on the opposite frontal plane, swinging out. Okay? So that being said, if we can understand this, it's like, you can't understand pathology of the spine. We didn't learn that first. We learned what normal textbook was, so then you can see the issues, okay? It's a great learning path. Normal to not normal. Normal to not normal. I'm going to ask that you turn your recorders off, please. Excuse me, turn your mics off. Thank you. Okay. So from there, I just have some language for you to see things. Hey, if it's like this, okay, what do I need to address? But what happens if there's things in there that start changing? This becomes an L, that becomes an R. This becomes an L, that becomes an R. That becomes an R. What happens? Anything goes. What happens if the weight is 10 pounds or what it's 30 pounds? What happens if it's 1 pound? What happens if the twist in the middle of the way that the body is twisted, which is energetic status, okay? It's compression, it twists, okay? Body goes off center, the configuration between the structures. Are they normal? Are they perfect? Are they normal pattern? Okay? Are they a normal pattern? Okay? Are they between 0 and 3? Are they twisted 0 and 3? Are the shoulders and the pelvis moving together? Okay, these are normal things, and there's probably about 8, 10 things that you got to know so you can identify normal and not normal. All right? So 0 to 3 pounds and 0 to 3 millimeters, okay, is normal. 0 to 3 pounds off center, I tilt this much. Okay? 0 to 3 millimeters is the shoulders and pelvis moving together. And they have to be coplanar. If they're not coplanar, that is DEFCON 5. Okay? That's not only failure, but it's big biomechanical trouble. Biggest trouble a person can have when you see non-coplanar issues. I'll take 30 pounds over the shoulders and the pelvis, opposite rotated by 10 millimeters all day long. Okay? So we have this weight differential, we have a configuration, and what those add up, no different than a building tilting. You carrying a suitcase, you carrying a suitcase on one leg with your body over here and this over there. Okay, so this configuration with this weight differential creates a weakness that every single person, you can measure that on. Okay, super strong people are holding that thing up regardless, but they're still feeling the stress. Okay. So how do we measure that? And that's through that rotation of the shoulder and the pelvis. When the shoulders and pelvis are twisting, it means the body is collapsing. It bends and twists. It moves on a spiral. It doesn't move in one plane. It moves in 3-dimensional planes. All right, and that's the way we got to take a step to seeing that, not just seeing it in one plane like on a plastic X-ray. Okay, your best friend is that patient standing in front of you right there, live. All right. So we start looking at what's normal pattern, what's normal numbers, what's normal biomechanics, and now we can start having a conversation of where there's trouble. And the first thing is saying, okay, where's the trouble? What's dysfunctioning? Well, how do you do that? You look at these patterns, you see a posture listing, and you go, hey, which pattern does it fall in? Hey, this kind of looks like this pattern. And it's very simple. If the weight is on the same side of the pelvis and the spine, okay, then it's this one. And if it's not, it's this one. And if there's a deviation, you're going to have to figure it out. Okay? So let's do that. And then we have a conversation of basically, terms. Where's the wedge? Where's the dysfunction? Okay? And where's it in tension and compression? So we just can have bigger conversations of like, hey, man, I see this better. Not just with your patient, but with yourself. There's things that you'll see and you go, I see where the weakness is. I see where this person's having trouble. I measure everybody and take films on them. Okay, I measure them on the posture IQ before I talk to them. Okay? Because I like to talk to them. I see you have trouble here and you have trouble there. You're standing on the posture IQ. I said, you have a lot of trouble right here, right? Oh, you have trouble right here. Okay? That's good. Okay, it's easy. It's not being a genie. It's just that we have to have a conversation about starting to understand three-dimensional postural biomechanics in the current model of Tensegral. Okay? This freaking balloon that gets damaged, like holes in it, and a tire starts, breaking down this way, that way, all kinds of stuff. It starts breaking down. So we can measure that configuration, and we can measure how flat it is. Okay? And guess what? We can do that very simply. Okay. So here's a listing. Postural listing. LL, L10, P6, A11. This is not in the book. LRR. We're going to do 15 minutes, 20 minutes, half hour of some review. So that everybody that didn't get on yesterday and you're getting on today, that you caught up a little bit with some Friedmanism in QSM3. All right. So we have a pattern. It's got 10 pounds on the left, and it's got a counter rotation. The shoulders are rotated posterior 6, and the pelvis is rotated anterior 11 on what side? The left side, because we always record it on the heavy side. Okay? This kind of stuff is the bottom. This kind of stuff is the top. You turned it sideways, it almost kind of goes from bottom floor up. But not quite. I can look at that and I can tell you where that person is having trouble. Okay? What kind of trouble it is, if they're having it there. And I can tell you what's weak and what needs to be supported in the whole global system. So prime directive for chiropractor, especially for a Russell Friedman chiropractor, try to understand globally what's going on and try to help that person support it three-dimensionally in a Tensegral model. Okay, so what do you see here? What kind of pattern is it? It's kind of that first pattern, because the weight and the shoulder and the weight and the pelvis and spine are on the same side. Let's just call that number 1. I won't talk to you about what pattern it is that way. We're just having a conversation. It's easy to do it that way. Okay? Where's the trouble? Where does it deviate from that pattern? Simple. Right here. Right here. That left shoulder should be right. So what the heck is going on? Why is it doing that? Left shoulder is the dysfunction. All the dysfunction is saying which one of those pieces, you could have more than one, by the way, which of those sections, Andrew Smith, sections, which one of these sections deviates from that normal trauma pattern? Yeah. There's another dysfunction, though. There's a dysfunction right here. Okay, that counter twist. Not the number itself, but the fact that it's counter twisted is dysfunctioning. There's trauma, there's a problem there. Okay, so we're going to also put in non-coplanar. Non-coplanar, things are twisting. Coplanar is like a door moving. Shoulders and pelvis should move together. So there's really 2 dysfunctions. Okay, let's talk about the wedge. Let me tell you what the wedge is. The wedge is a transition place where something goes right and something above it goes left. Something goes left and something goes right. It's a wedge. Just like in chiropractic, what's a PRS? It's a wedge. Okay, I'm looking for the global wedges, not the local level wedges. All right, I want to stretch the whole car before I worry about the dent. Okay, I got to get the whole system going before I worry about this spot and that spot. That's my job. At least that's the way I see it. Okay, some people like to do one bone, I guess, at a time, or just one bone. Okay, I want to try to stretch the whole thing out, fill the whole balloon, see how it responds. Then I could find if those local things are the body's able to help itself, or do they need? Maybe they need some local help. Okay. All right. So the wedge here is right here. Wherever you see that, you see a left, right. There's the wedge. So it's between the shoulder and the neck. Shoulder, neck. Okay? So what does it look like? It looks like this. Everything leans to the left. The shoulder and neck lean to the right to get me righting reflex. Notice how my posture doesn't move, okay? The postural muscles are from T1, C7, vertebral prominence, down into the pelvis and through down to the legs. They move posture. They move posture. Very important you know that because you got to know where the line is to release it, okay? So why is it doing that? Because this right shoulder and the musculature down to my pelvis, somewhere through here, it's not strong enough to pull this up and create a normal pattern where this shoulder becomes right. Okay? So what happens is I have this drift that goes out in this. It creates this wedge in here. This side is unable to pull itself up. It's exhausted or it's been damaged. Okay? It doesn't have to be damaged. It just, I don't care about that. It's either damaged or it's just tired. Okay, I've been doing it for 50 years. You know, it's tired of carrying the suitcase over here, so it starts going over time. Okay? What do you think I have to support? What's the big side to support? The right side or the left side? Side. Structure, function. Got it? Structure, function. Structure has to be supported last. That's why we usually look at the weight last. Okay? That's been working nicely. For both patterns, it makes it streamlined. The mod 3 people, you can see that. Okay? So we see the pattern, we see the dysfunction, we see the wedge. Okay? And then we can talk about this thing, tension, compression. Tension, compression. So there's usually a diagonal. So the low side is in compression. So from my left shoulder down to the floor is in compression, which means this high side, okay, is in tension. It's trying to hold. It's in tension. Okay? If the building is leaning, this is the side you put the wires on. This is the muscle pain on this side. This side, right here, from here through, that's the problem. Somebody says, man, my low back, man, I got glute pain down here. That's compressive sciatica. This side is more piriformis syndrome. I'm holding on the right, and I'm falling down on the left. Tension, compression. You could start seeing, as a better diagnostician, what's going on and where that patient is. Okay? You know, we get taught, oh, don't worry about the symptom. Yeah, don't worry about the symptom. I care about how to get it out of there. But it helps me understand how to take care of this person better from a perspective of what I think they need in care. For sure. Okay? And it also is nice when you get to say to somebody, hey, you know what? It's on that right side. This is a low-level thing. I know it's killing you, but it's not as bad as this side over here. It makes them happy. They like to hear a little good news. They like to hear somebody that knows a lot about why it's going on, not just, well, you know, you got some degeneration over here, and this bone is over here. That's setting the whole world on fire. Yes.
Can you just repeat that tension compression section, that like 90-second section? That was like super huge, and I personally would benefit.
Well, that's what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
That's what I'm doing now. Okay. So in this model, okay, as this person falls off like this. Can you see me? This person falls off like this. The low side, Jonathan, right here, all these lefts are low. Everything is low through there. So this side is my compression side. Okay? This side, the long side, on the right from my shoulder down, is in tension. What I'm seeing is something like this. Like this. Okay, that person. So this side is pulling to hold. And where does it pull from? It's got attached to the bones. It doesn't attach anywhere else. So anywhere on this right lateral side, people have hip pain, okay, pelvic pain, they can have glute pain, they can have, man, it hurts right in the joint. Wow, I got knee trouble on the outside, lateral knee. My left ankle on the outside is always popping because it's just giving after a while. It's just giving. If it's on the right side, okay, this is in compression. That's what it looks like, kind of. So this is all compressing. So all these joints are compressing. Nerve pain, glute pain, sciatica, okay, trouble, compression. Okay. Got compression on this side where my knee hurts. You know, I blew my meniscus out. Okay. This side is fibular pain, lateral fibular pain. You can just see the lines because it's no different. It's like if you took a building and it's falling over, where would you put the wires? You put the wires on that angle. Okay, you wouldn't put them on this side to hold it up.
Right.
So, I mean, you could just start looking at the lines of the way that the body stands three-dimensionally. It's anterior and falling this way kind of thing. In this person, they're doing this. They're going posterior in the pelvis, anterior, and doing this. So you can start seeing these lines that have become short, anterior in the shoulder, anterior over here, and posterior over there. And you can start helping people three-dimensionally when we release those lines, because you can set up in those lines and boom, pop them out. Okay, so understanding the tension and the compression is a great little parlor trick for understanding, hey, where the symptoms are. You can see them, especially with the wedges and so forth. Just keeps building, building, building. But the end result, again, is for us to do a better job. And by seeing where that person is bending and twisting and stuff, is you can access those lines from where you are. Because if this is the line, okay, you want to come in here. You don't want to come in there. You want to come in here. If this is the line, okay, you want to come in there, so you pull that line. And you'll set people up that way and release them through. That's mod 3-4 stuff. Okay?
Thank you.
Some things that you may not be able to see.
What's that?
You're saying there's some of the compressions that you may not be able to see.
Well, you listen. There's plenty of stuff we don't see. The hand gets another chance at feeling it, and then the posture IQ gives you some validity to what you saw, what you felt, and what you thought from the beginning. Yeah.
Yes.
Good. Man, it ain't baking a cake, so we can't make it like baking a cake. We've minimized it like that. The whole world's minimized everything like that. It doesn't work that way. Okay. So then we could start having conversations later down the road, not in this class, of where's the weak link in this chain? And this whole thing, where's the weak link? Where's the weak link? What do you got to support first and last? How do you do it? Okay. So that's the game. Questions on this? We can begin. Okay, let me get my stuff. Any questions?
So this weakness is wrestler.
Well, I don't know that. I don't know really the weakness, truly the weakness, until I put my hands on them and I see what happens and I watch how the body reacts over time. Okay, I mean, that's the idea. Is the work that I do is pattern work. I watch patterns. I watch if on the first adjustment and then through the fifth adjustment, this rotation became coplanar, I wouldn't think it's an issue anymore. Okay, if the weight kept popping out to 10, okay, and then even further, I may say, hey, there's a weakness down below on that lateral plane that I have to look at and address. Okay, you learn from doing and watching. And again, the premise has to be, number one, is we have to be great referees. We have to understand the game as well as possible. That's the first thing. That's what these conversation is, obviously, in a virtual conversation. And it's a lot of conversations. It's always my biomechanics, because my better understanding then leads to the application. You got to hit the ball. Okay? So you can't just know the game. You got to be able to do that. Okay, and that's that touchy-feely side. So, it's science, art's philosophy. The art, the philosophy is, the body self-heals itself. That's for sure. The better its structure function, it's just the law, and all these principles about, 33 principles of innate intelligence, universal intelligence, the relation, all that stuff, time, and all that stuff put together. Guess what, man? This is what we're doing. We're looking at it. Okay. Well, then you got to put some science. Well, where's the science? The science is in tensegrity. Science is in tensegrity. That's where it is right now. Okay. And where's the art? Where's the art? That's not here today. It is some conversation wise, but that's mod 2, that's mod 3 stuff. That's conference stuff where we can touch each other. Like Brad said, he's an M doctor. Okay. we have some certification, QSM3, QSM. Brad's an M doctor. Okay, so to be an M person, you get have this conversation. I'll give you a listing and off you go. And then the piece after that is Brad put his hands on me. Okay, because I could feel what he feels, and I could see where he's at. Okay, and then I can help do that, and that's important, and that's the step that comes after understanding today and yesterday's work. Okay.
Hi, Dr. Russell. I have a question.
Okay, perfect. Go.
So, in the symptom, it says right shoulder posterior. Could you please explain that?
Oh, this is right shoulder pain. I was going to give you a
Okay.
symptom. I'm sorry. If this, let's go back to that, and then we'll finish. I'm sorry, I get ahead and I get, I'm crazy. Okay. That's why I write things down, because I still can't even follow them. So what I was saying to you is this person walked in with this postural listing, and they said to me they have right shoulder pain. Could you, even if they didn't say it, could you see why the right shoulder is bothering them? Watch. This comes out, and this pulls. You see this here? That asked me a question. You got to talk to me.
Other people having trouble. The video seems to get very blurry. Right now, it happens to not be too bad, but maybe it's when you walk closer to the camera, it actually gets clearer on the wall. I don't know if others are having, and my audio is on it now too.
I am watching it. I am watching it on Dr. Yoshi's computer, and it seems perfect. Has it been a problem, Yosh? No, maybe you have a bad connection. Maybe you want to sign out and sign back in or something.
Hey, Russell, actually, the text gets a bit clearer when you get closer to the camera.
Here. So today what I did is I turned my camera around the other way. Was it better yesterday?
Let's say yes.
Okay, so let me do that, and let me see if that helps you out. So let's see if I can do that. I had trouble getting to that screen yesterday and turning it around. I may not be able to do that right now.
I thought yesterday was blurrier. I thought today's better. Just
Okay, so I just heard from somebody yesterday that, because what I did was I was using the reverse, but if you use the camera in the correct way, you'll get a clearer picture. That's what I did today. So I can't see the camera and see me. But I look on Dr. Yoshi's, it looks fine. But I'll turn it back around the other way if you can remind me at the end of this, if that seems to be good for everybody. But I'll just sit a little closer if that's better. Okay, maybe it's good that my face is blurry. Okay,
Russell.
so,
Russell.
let me finish this conversation with this pain on the. So I just made up a scenario. I said, hey, this person's coming in. Here's their listing. They have right shoulder pain. So they stand off like this. Okay, and because the shoulder is failing, this right shoulder anchor and the muscles, the trap and whatever's on this lateral side, have to contract and pull. And what do they do on this side? Do they make it longer or shorter? Shorter. Watch it. It's short. Short here. Okay? Short is compressive. Is compression good? No, it's not good. Okay, so they've got some type of issue. That doesn't mean that muscle isn't tired, but I can tell you this. Muscles don't mind contracting. They don't like being elongated. Okay, so this muscle that's not really doing anything on the left side is getting yanked. And that is the most common thing, is you'll see muscle pain where the muscle is long. It's almost like the muscle is holding it up, like a tension, like I said, tension. Okay, but it's this muscle here that's contracting, and the problem that they have right pain, whether it's it could be nerve pain, it's radiating into the shoulder. this would be a bigger issue for me than left shoulder pain. That's all I was bringing up with what I was going to bring up. I made up a symptom. Okay. I didn't look at this and say, hey, they have right shoulder pain. I could give you 20 symptoms this can have because of the mechanics of it, and every one of them would be right. Maybe not. Okay. Or I could, you know what I'm saying? But it's the patient that walks in and says it's that, and then I say, hey, that's the tension side, that's the compressive side, and I like knowing more. Okay. Is that okay? Good answer.
That's helpful. Thanks.
I could have sworn that it was a young lady that asked me the question. No? Anyway,
Russell?
so all right. So,
Russell?
yeah.
Sorry, it's Sterny. That was Snega that asked that question. I just want to make sure she understands that it's okay. Snega, are you there?
Understood. I didn't turn on the mic when I spoke. Thank you.
Okay, cool.
Okay, now I got it. Did that help?
It helped. Thank you.
Okay, good. I'll let you go on the mic. All right. Okay. So we're going to have a conversation in a very general way about what a balloon does right now. And then we're going to have a conversation of some real general things of how I use the neck and the head and the support and line of drive. And then we're going to get to something specific in that realm. So we're going to start nice and easy in general. Okay. So hopefully we got all this. Okay. Yesterday, number 2 was a little bit more touch and feel. We'll review some of that again at 3 o'clock. Okay. So here we go. All right. So when you deal with a balloon and you deal with a building, they're different. Okay. We are not a bone out of place model. We are a balloon system with bones inside that give us dexterity and form. They do not give us support. Okay. Balloon system with a joint system on the inside that makes us stop. It's like parking brakes all over the place. Dexterity and form. That's what it gives us. All right. So we have this expanding system, and we have been looking at it like a bony system. And that's not what it is. Okay. If it was a bony system, we never would be able to jump. Because buildings don't jump. They break when they jump. That's why grandma at 90 or Russell at 60 with multiple knee surgeries I cannot go hard on that left knee. It doesn't have the spring anymore. Okay. The springs are gone. The air is out. And we start seeing that with disc degeneration. My contention is the disc is there like a flat tire. It's just denatured. It's lost its water. Okay. It's not rubbed down. We don't rub it down. Okay, it's flat because the body is caving in on itself, where the joint should be pulled open and free. Okay, it's jammed up and unstable. Right? That's what happens. So the interesting thing is with buildings, when you push them, the whole building falls over. Whole thing falls over. Okay, it all moves in one direction. Whenever I push here, this moves in the same direction. If I turn a little bit to the side and I push it this way, the whole thing will go that way. That's not what happens in a balloon system. In a balloon system, no matter where you push, everything comes to you. This, everything goes away from you. Okay? So I used to adjust C1 to push it away from me. Okay? That's not the way the system works. That's why we would see things like an Atlas kick up. Okay? Because the system doesn't move away from you. Everything moves to you in a Tensegral system. Pushing a balloon. Everything comes to that point. The deeper I push, the more the stuff pulls and pulls and pulls and pulls. Why is that important? Important for a number of reasons. Number one reason is if I want to understand how to move this thing and change it, I have to understand what kind of system it is. Okay? You know, a car moves different than a cotton ball. You know? You got to know how to move the thing. All right? You got to know how to change it. So you have to recognize the system itself. And the system is a fascially expanding system where the fascia attaches to bone and that has a specific range of motion. Okay? Things have specific ranges of motion. Right? Body has specific ranges. It lives in this big sphere all the way out here, and everybody lives in here, me included. Okay. So, a balloon system, when you push in, everything comes to you. And why is that important for number 2? Is because I got rights, I got lefts, I got anteriors, I got posteriors. And if I know that everything is coming to me, and if I find the right point, which I call the knot on the balloon, we'll talk about that in about half an hour. It's right here. I know where the knot of the balloon is. I know where all the roads meet, and I can release them all together. That's my goal. Least invasive to the nervous system, expanding it in a balloon model called tensegrity and getting everything to move to me. You can never do that in a bony system. Okay? So the interesting thing is, no matter what anybody does, everything's coming to them. Because even though they think it's a bony system, it behaves like a balloon system. So we have a balloon, we have this linear bony mentality, rigid body mentality in physics called a rigid body, and this is an elastic system. Okay, they're very different. The body is an elastic system. Okay, that has some rigidity inside it. Okay, which we don't even get near because we're not supposed to go beyond the range of motion. So, let's not talk about where the rigidity is. So, that's this concept. And the big idea, okay, Russell Friedman, big idea, is that if we can understand that, then we can go into a certain place and release everything because anteriors are becoming posterior, posteriors are going anterior, ups are going down, downs are going up, and everything's coming to me. Okay? That's cool. All right? That's cool. Why hit 4 singles if you can hit 1 home run? Get everything going all the way and just score. And that's all I do in my practice every time I touch somebody is hopefully my skill is where it needs to be to help them do that. And if it's not, that universal intelligence and I resonate in a great peaceful place that I can receive that information. So that I could do better tomorrow. Okay. So the next step is, it's a balloon system, but it's a balloon system only from the C0, okay, the bottom of the neck, the bottom of that skull, all the way down to the pelvis. Okay, that's the hollow area. That's tensegral. That's that balloon system. Everything else, the head's not that way. You can't push into the head. You can push into your neck. Okay, you can push into your gut. You can push anywhere. Okay, wherever it's soft. Rib cage are kind of tough, but you can feel that in the abdomen, right? So the abdomen, if you pushed in, you can get a lot of push there. Okay, which means further you push, the more you can expand. The more I push into my balloon, boom, the more I can expand it. Okay, and bring that short stuff and that long stuff to me and create symmetry. Right? So you can't use the head because you don't have any depth to be able to change the balloon. Okay, where's the balloon? Oh, there it is. You've seen a flat balloon. Okay, balloon's out of gas. And what do you have to do to blow it up? You have to push into it, right? The more you push in, okay, depending on how flat it is, right, then the more you have to push in and the further you have to go. So that's the idea with the human body is if somebody's really broken down, you got to really get in some depth to be able to expand that thing back out. That's the visual you should see. And that's one of the reasons we use the cervicals, okay? Because the cervicals are interesting in a sense that they are the top. So if you're going to push into a balloon and you want everything to come to you, Which way you want everything to go? You want everything to come up. On a table, you want everything to come cephalically, okay, towards the head, which is up, right? So where would you touch in this balloon to have everything come to me? Here at the top, okay? Everything comes to it. If I push down there, it would pull it down. So the abdomen is in a good spot because it would pull everything down into the abdomen, okay? Either is L5. It pulls everything in, okay? So C1 would go, hey, man, that's the place, okay? Problem with C1 is two troubles, okay? It's not a direct contact to the postural muscles. Where are the postural muscles? Here, down. These are postural. These are just writing reflex. And I don't say just, but I need you to hear that concept, okay? So the human body has some physicality to it. So we got to know where those train tracks are. Where do the pelvis line go to get those postural muscles? Okay, where are they? All right. So C1 is not going to be the only optimal place. There's a relationship between the top of the balloon, the middle of the balloon, and the bottom of the balloon. So the top to bring everything up is number one. The second thing that's cool about the cervicals is they are the only place really in the body, except for almost the femur, that has three-dimensional motion. Well, why is that important? Because we need to change this person three-dimensionally, which means you got to take that line three-dimensionally. And if you can't take something three-dimensionally, then you can't restore three dimensions. It's pretty simple, okay? If I'm down here and twisted forward, and all I do is do this to that person, okay, I can't get this out, okay? And if I can't get that motion, okay, if I can't have that motion, like an arm doesn't have that motion, I can't access that line, and I can't stretch it out, and I can't release it, and I can't restore tensegrity, which is the, that's the way the manufacturer made us. So I want to be able to do that. So the neck being on the top in 3D access, okay, is what leads us into a great place where everything goes. And what happened was I just started looking at, it's so fascinating, I've said this 1,000 times, is that in some spiritual writings in Judaism, Moses has a relationship with God, and he says to God, God, where are you? And God responds, I'm right in front of your nose. And I laugh at that because the same conversation that I talked to you about, the frontal plane and the curves, is to look beyond that, like we can name everything, is looking at what innate intelligence has there right in front of us, okay? Because it will tell you, all right? So let me ask you a question. On a boat, if you're on a boat and it's a sailboat, so you got to tie down the sails, okay? So you have a sail, you have a line, and it's attached on one side, and you have to attach it to the boat itself, okay? The top of the boat, whatever that's called, the hull, okay? I'm not a boat person. But if you had a cleat, which is the place where you tie the rope, it's this big, or you had one this big, which one would you think is more important? The big one, right? Okay, good. All right. So I just started looking at the cervical spine, and I started looking at big and small, big things. Okay, what's big? What's big? Okay, the head is big. C0, right? The head's big. How about the spinous process of C7? What's it called? Vertebral prominence. Kind of a cool name. Maybe I should pay attention to that. You're a wise guy. How about C2 spinous? How about the atlas transverse process? How about C5? Why is C5 always the troublemaker? Because that's where the arc is. Okay, that's the keystone. It's a big thing. Now, C5 is the connector for all the postural muscles to secondary attachment for the head and the neck. Here it comes, here it comes, here it comes from the head and neck. Not just the atlas and C0 connection. There's a backup. Think of that, universal intelligence putting backups in, right? Well, it's also a backup to the posture. So it gets double duty as the backup, the secondary cleat in the boat, in the arc, okay, which takes it all. And that's why C5 gets beat up all day long. And that's why we see that curve just fall out. It just collapses. This musculature in here, boom, it just collapses. Just loses it. We lose that curve, we lose the spring, and now we're walking buildings. So there's a very intimate relationship between these bones and what happens to them and their insertions of the fascia. And we're going to take these bones and we're going to look at them, where they are. What are the TPs? How do they move? The spinuses, how do they move? What their motion is, what their range of motion is. And you're going to get in there and three-dimensionally, at some point, be able to say, that's my line, there it goes, there's the main stuff in there, and you're going to dig until you give that whole thing back its three-dimensional range of motion, which means the whole thing down below is restored, and you start talking, I'm helping this person at a manufacturer level of Tensegral. Okay, so today it's the first touch. Okay, so where are those postural assertions? C7, T1, vertebral prominence, is the major insertions. Just look at it. Look at the triangles on the back, how everything comes up to this area right here from the pelvis. Origins down below, insertions above, bottom of the rubber band, top of the rubber band, everything comes up here, and everything is secondary to C5. So C7 to C5 is the place where I work 80% of my stuff. Why? Because I want to release everything posturally upward. If I push here, even this postural side, everything comes to it. Everything gets pulled upward. Everything comes up. Push here, push here. When I get up here, I don't have a good connection. But this is super important, and there's a relationship between up here, the top of the cervicals, and a relationship to the bottom of the cervicals that we're going to start talking about. Okay? So again, I can't keep you forever, okay, which is, I know you love that part, okay, at least I spoke some truth, but this is what goes on, and the reason why we use this upper area, we have a balloon system, everything rises, 3 dimensions, now we want to look at these areas because we want to find the optimal place, that place where, boom, everything comes and it protects everything. It doesn't go against anything, because if you push in the wrong place and you don't understand it three-dimensionally, you go against things. We don't want to do that. Why go against? We want to have everything coming to itself and see if it can. Okay. Beautiful. I'm so excited. All right. So this is an interesting picture. We don't just have a balloon at the top. Okay. We have a balloon with a big old fat head on the side. Okay, on top of it. All right. Remember, I told you about the sock with the cue ball. So we're going to take this head and use it. When I bend it down, like that top one, what does it do? It increases the tension. Increases the tension up here, right here. I don't know if you can see that laser. So when I drop this head down, boom, it pulls on this line and relaxes that line. Well, if I got 30 pounds on this side, you think I want to stretch that line? You better believe I do. Okay, because I want to yank it out of there. If it's loose, okay, and it's not tight, and I have it in a loose, I never can stretch it beyond where it is. Because what do I have to do? I need to be able to take it beyond where it is today. It's here. I got to stretch this to take it further, to take it further, to take it further, to take it further, so I can release it all. Simple concepts. Okay, ballooning system, neutral, everything's pulling up together. Nice neutral headpiece. Tip the head down. Tip the head up. Hey, I want tension on the other side. Okay? I want to release this side when I'm on this, when I'm touching that person on the top. How do I do that? Well, I'm going to tip the head up, and I'm going to have that tension increase on that side. So we get to use the head for a specific line of tension, increase, decrease. We start getting three-dimensional leverage, okay? AM is called angular. It stands for angular momentum. Angular momentum, if you had a crowbar that's 3 feet long, you would have 3 times the power, okay, whatever, using what you use, so to speak, okay? With a round object, okay, like a rolling ball, that's not leverage anymore. That's called angular momentum, okay? It's spinning, it's turning. It's monstrous. I don't even know the equation for it. Okay, but it gives you a ton of leverage. Why do you need leverage? Because you got to break that neural lock. And believe me, you don't have the strength to do it. I don't care if you weigh 500 pounds. Okay, so you got to use everything. You're going to have to, like I told you yesterday, the mass, the piezoform, the table, they're lower than you. You got to go into the right spot. You got to set it up the right way to access that line. If you make it too tense, guess what you did? You just locked it up. If you make it too loose, okay, and guess what? You can't get it to the end. I tell my patients I didn't make it and I didn't break it. Okay? So what I do is I try to understand how to help it. All right? It's that simple. I didn't make it and I didn't break it. Okay. Very interesting concept. All right. So this is an easy one. Okay? It's an easy one. There's specific articulation up there. This balloon is filled with bones. And guess what? You can't go the wrong way. You can't bend the finger backwards, okay? You have to be able to follow the cervicals. So I look at all these guys as my piano keys, C7, T1, all the way up to the head. And every single one of these for that person has a specific range of motion. And it's not textbook. Some people have they're hyperlordotic in the neck. Some people are completely kyphotic. Okay, some people are locked up with the musculature. Guess what you have to do? I told you yesterday, you have to dial in. Okay, this is the art, guys. Okay, you can't just go poke, poke. If you really want to restore magic to the person, guess what you're going to have to do? You're going to have to understand the magic a little bit greater today. That's my destiny for us. All right. So these guys have a specific motion, and remember, we don't want to disrupt the nervous system. You can't go and go boom. You don't want to lock it up. It's already locked up. You want it to be as cool and calm as possible. So you got to be able to use your hand and feel the paths. All right? So you've got these 8 keys. They have specific pathways, and you're going to start feeling at some level, okay, the more you practice, the more you play the piano, what's normal, what's not normal, what's the line of drive, how to feel it and release it and get in that piezoform moment, like Dr. Brad talked yesterday. And what we're going to do is we're going to start feeling the path and following it, unlocking it, okay, and expanding it. So, okay, this is our game right here. This whole game to bring everything upward, take it as far as you can without the nervous system knowing it. And if you could do that in the right places and the right lines of drive, create some nice energy and take it a little bit further than where it is today. We don't need to take it this far. You know? We don't need to take it this far away. Okay? We don't need to move it this far. We need to move it this far. This far. Further than where it is. If you expand the human body and decompress the cells of the human body, okay, it speaks for itself. It'll energetically, it's the most profound thing you can do to the human body. There is nothing else that you could do that's more profound. Okay? Nothing more. It's right in front of our nose. As chiropractors, and we're up where we go. I don't know what we're doing in chiropractic. I don't see chiropractic classes. I don't see 21st century chiropractic Tensegral classes. This is the game. This is the focus. It's right in front of our nose. And we got to look at innate and help innate figure it out and free it up. And to do that, you have to take these bones to their 3 dimensions, free them up as much as possible, which means everything's free. If you feel it free over here, guess what? It's free down here. You feel it free here, it's great. If it's restricted over here, guess what? You're going to have to try to help that person get better. Okay, and it's not all or none, thank God. That's the grace of the system. There's grace everywhere. It's our best pal. It makes us look great and feel greater. Okay, because if we had to get everybody 100%, we wouldn't be having this conversation, I promise you. Just got to help and change people. And what I have found is that this work right here, okay, for myself, I'm only speaking from my own personal experience, is that predictable and that consistent. Okay? But you can't be a referee. You got to be able to hit the ball. Okay, so the next piece is we got this balloon with articulations. All right. Well, guess what? we want to change the rotation in the person. So let's say that the person has, let's say this person's right side up. Here they are, right side up, and they have a posterior shoulder. Posterior shoulder. So right side, I read the listing and it says, hey, well, not this one, okay? We have a right side up here because that's what that's looking. Here's my middle numbers. Here's my middle numbers. It's right side up. Okay? So it's right side up. Whether it was left weight or right weight, everything's moving up towards me. Okay, but I'm on the right side and I want to overcome this shortness, right? If the shoulder is posterior, it's down and posterior with the pelvis, it's short. I need this line, P to A, right to left. Okay? So I can come into the postural mus fascia, grab it with my pisiform, and move through the line of drive of C7, C6, C5 to back up, and through the trap, and through the clavicle in the front, and move this P to A when I want, okay? And I can overcome that tension line. Okay? And I look at this thing as like you're turning a can. You turn the can, you turn the can. It turns the can, it turns the can. And that's what you do with your pisiform is you are taking fascia within the range of motion of the bony system, the osseous system, and you are taking it further where it is today. And you have to know the path, and you have to feel the path. Okay? Which means you got to quiet the noodle, man. You want to feel something, you got to be able to turn the brain off. Okay? You got to turn your eyes off. I adjust a lot of times with my eyes closed. It's my best adjustment when my eyes are closed, and I'm just feeling and doing my thing. And guys, if the neck is only this big, it's not a lot. It's not that much. Okay, it's not that big. It's no big deal to palpate and feel a tension line. Okay, the scary part happens when all of a sudden the pisiform has to do something and we lose consciousness there. I don't understand why. Me too. Okay, it's easy though. All right, we turn the can. All right, and we watch what happens. And the 3D reality of the thing is that the TPs do certain things and the spinuses do certain things. So you can grab a spinous down here and move it this way. Where a TP, you can move that this way. How do I know? Because I went to chiropractic school. You know? So you can move these things and they're just like levers, you know, like on a slot machine. Ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching. That one's loose. This one's loose. Boom, it goes. C7, C6, C5, C4, C3. Get the TPs to move. Get the spinuses to move. Okay? Open up these fascial systems. Overcome C0 with C1. Get the head to unlock itself. Three-dimensionally, suboccipitally, C2. All these beautiful places that we know of that we can't talk about today, but we could just mention them. Hey, man, you get in there and you just free the whole thing up. Because they're just in a lock. And you free it up and you feel it free, man. It's unbelievable. I mean, you feel it free up. It's gold. I used to go boom, 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 and I'd have to do a leg check to have like a relationship with this thing. Now I'm like, I'm the pitcher in the game, and it's bottom of the ninth, seventh game of the World Series, and the Yankees are playing Boston. Of course, the Yankees win. Okay. Friedman's up, man, and he just dropped and he just knocks it over the fence. It's a great feeling, you know. I wish I could have it in every single patient. I can't though. Okay, why? Because it would get boring then, and you know, God wouldn't have such joy for me. All right. Okay, questions. My clicker. Okay, excellent. Okay, so here's the next piece. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to brace. Okay, we're going to brace the head. Okay, anybody know who used to say brace the head? Big guy in chiropractic. Anyone? Marshall Dickholt Sr. used to tell me you have to brace the head. Okay, so I use that word because it's in my brain. He put it in my brain. So we brace the head. So let me ask you a question. I told you yesterday that we needed a temporal support all the way up here. If I move the support over to here and I make this distance shorter or I make this distance longer, which one gives me more flexibility, more ease? Closer or shorter? Closer or further away?
Further away.
Thank you very much. So the further it goes, the more flexibility I put in here. That's why you have a temporal support. Okay, temporal support, because you want to go into this area, into the neck, and you want to be able to create as much motion as possible. Why? Because you want to take the rubber band as far as possible without force. And if you could create it easily with the patient and open this up and come into the right place, C1, C5, C7, and start understanding what those things in the relationship up in the neck is, and come in at a certain rotation, you'll start hooking onto these spinuses and TPs and feel where they are hung up, where they're short, and you just start overcoming them one by one until all of a sudden the body gives. And that's what happens, it gives. Okay? And guess what? When it gives, I used to say, I win. Now I tell my patients, you win. Okay? So we brace the head, okay? We stabilize the head and the shoulders. Boom. We may take 2 blocks. This one's built in. This one just needs a little lift so we can have a neutral, all right? And then we can bend the head a little bit, create tension here. Okay? Bring the head up, create tension on this side. Turn the head a little bit, anterior, posterior, and come into the neck. That's nice and relaxed. Start going through C7 all the way up to C0, the 8 piano keys, and start freeing them up 3-dimensionally, okay? And what happens is if you can get this right, okay, you create a vulnerability on the patient where they can't hold that. You're up here, and if you could create the right place and match them, okay, and that's for a conference, so I can show you that, all right, is you could just create that vulnerability. And once you create the vulnerability where there's the human body can't hold itself, okay, they can't lock the neck against you, and they got to give, then you're like King Kong up there. It's my little picture of King Kong. And I'm up here, and you're down there. And I say that to them sometimes, just let that go. I'm up here, you're down there. Okay, just let it go. Okay, and you slowly overcome it. And again, there's no force here, guys. There's just understanding the piano keys. You don't hit it with a hammer. It's finesse. You don't fix a Rolex with a hammer. Okay, so even though I'm talking to you in terms like overcome and release and power, at the end of the day, this is relaxed and easy, and you just take it to the end and put your body against it. Boom, 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 boom. And then it gives and it gives and it gives. And then other starts giving. You work the top, you work the bottom, you work the middle. Okay? I start here. It's easy. There's a lot of chunk there. This isn't as movable here. This is a lot of motion here. Okay? It's easier on me. Well, if I can't get this going, I go poke around. Like just anything. I'll take anything. It's like you got a tangled up extension cord. Okay? You just got to find something. You're in a knock. You drop a piece and you go grab something else. You look, oh, there it is. I take that piece and you go to another one. Before you know it, you start playing around in here and you start increasing the distance. And at the end of the day, you increase the Tensegral volume. Okay, questions? All right, let me just see where we are. Okay. Let's see how far we get. Okay. So the reality is that every person has a 3D misalignment. Everyone needs to be released in all the 3 planes. And how do you do that optimally on each side? That's my conversation. We're going to touch each patient as a Module 1, Module 2, QSM3 doctor, and we're going to touch them on both sides. The weight last. Okay? So if you look at this patient, when I touch him on the right, I'm going against the head. If I touch him on the left, I'm going against the rights. Okay? If I'm on the left, I'm going against the rights. And if I'm going, you got my point. If I'm going anterior on one side, I could be going after opposites and posterior. because at the end of the day, even though I measured it globally, at local levels, there is everything in the human body. There's ups, there's downs, there's forwards, there's backwards. So it's not just when I say it's this line, okay? Everything needs to release three-dimensionally, okay? And to do that, we need to have everything coming, right? And to do that, we need to have a conversation of what's the best place on the side of the neck to do that, all right? All right. So, okay, so here, if you have printed this off, which I hope you have, okay, because I think that's a great learning tool, is any touch of the cervical lifts what? Everything below it, the postural muscles. So any touch on the cervicals, okay, anywhere you touch up here, because it's everything comes to it, remember, everything comes to it. Everything comes to it, everything. All this stuff, even this stuff down on the bottom here, on this left side down, is moving in this direction towards that point, which is up, which is up, which is up, in the front, in the back, everywhere, okay? But the direct insertions to the axis, okay, the shoulders downward is where? C7 to C5, or VP to C5. But here's another little concept, is even though I've got right here, I've got my left side up, right? When I touch on this side, C7 to C5, even though it's moving all this way, my left side's up, all my pelvis from the left side, it's moving all the stuff from my left side. It's also moving the stuff that's on the downside, but it's not 50-50. Okay? So C7 to C5, more action on which side? So if I had the left side up, I would have more action. I'm not telling you how much I know, it's 60-40, 70-30, but if the side that's up and the side that I'm touching has a much more of a direct line, it's a better tension line, okay, than the bottom. Fair enough? Even though this is coming up on the bottom and to it, and I'm raising the posture, all of it, I still have better activity here. And what that means, though, is if I create a bridge here, okay, what happens is when I push into at C5, I create this motion. All right. So through here, from C7 to C5, I get more action on the upside postural muscles. This is an important concept. But from C5 to C0, when I push through here and I create more of this motion here, I create more action on the downside. So C7 to C5, more action on the upside. C5 to C0, more action on the downside. Why is that important? Because wouldn't it be cool that you didn't have to use the algorithm and you can get everything from one side? I'll take a home run over two doubles. Got me? Okay, less is more. It's the simple concepts that universal intelligence puts out. It doesn't say more is less. It says less is more.
Is that more longitudinal action, rotation, or everything?
The human body is many parts, but it's one thing.
Question?
All going together. Go.
Does that matter which direction line of drive you're going with?
Yeah, we're going to get to that. We're going to get to that. Hang tight, okay? So the first concept is to understand this section here, more postural on this side. This section here, more postural on the other side. Okay, that's all I need you to know right now. All right? So here is a concept that is it's the whole thing of understanding the cervicals and their relationship in a tensegral system. Remember, even though we're tensegral, we're not a balloon that's round. Okay, we have a neck and shoulders. We got bony system in there. So it's not 100% balloony model, but because the neck is so supple and you can push into it, it's got a lot of flexibility, all right, and it moves in 3 dimensions, we can use it like an elastic system. And I said to you that C7 and C1 and C5 all have different actions. So one of the things that I noticed is that each side has an optimal bend point, okay? If the whole neck of the side that's up moves all the postural muscles and the above stuff moves more of the bottom and the bottom stuff moves more of the top, okay, then great, I can go from the top, I can go to the bottom, I can work what's down, what's up, I can work what's anterior, I can work posterior. But there's one other conversation, okay? And that is that I have to protect the neck. Okay, because the neck is the thing that's getting beat on. Fair? Okay. So I can be anywhere on this neck, and if I'm low, I can bring more of the upside, and if I'm high, I can bring more of the low side, the downside, excuse me. Okay? But the neck, bam, 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 bam. What about the neck? So there's a consideration for module 2. Okay? For module 2, that says there is a place on the neck that's best to the neck also. And that's called a bend point. All right? So there is, like I said, a knot on the balloon that goes ahead where all roads lead to the knot and everything's there. And if you're hearing this on a first touch, you won't see this today, but I will tell you that this concept is what we're trying to do is take the person from down below and invert it the opposite way from the neck at an optimal spot that protects the neck, okay, and create an inversion, okay, from here to here. Okay, it's like I take the suitcase from one side and I put it on the other side. Complete opposite postural misalignment, inversion. Okay, to do that in the neck, and this is a very simple concept. Okay, is each side has a specific bend point. All right, that says, hey, this is the best spot. And then what we're going to see is we're going to see the line of drive that goes around that bend point. So for right now, cerebrally, you'll remember it, and then you'll start going, oh, I see that. Oh, now I see that. Okay, so there's a bend point. You want to. This is backwards. Please cancel that off. That is opposite. Sorry about that. My first error. Excellent. Not bad. All right. So this should be high and this should be low, and it's just easy to call it that way because I don't like to single out C1 because C1's equally, it's a joint, and C7 and C1. I don't like to play the bone game, so I just make it simple. There are 2 bend points, C0, C1, and C7, T1. Obviously, this one is high, and this one is low. Okay? I'm sorry about that. This is high, this is low. Okay? And each side has a specific bend point to protect the neck. Okay? So in this one, here's my patient. This was patient number 2. My release sequence, the weight's on the left, so my release sequence is right, left. So on the right side, there's a specific bend point. So on the right side, where is my neck? It's right. Yes? So here's the patient with right side up, and here's the neck on an angle like this, because it's tilting to the right. It's short on the right. Here it is. Where would you like to press on the neck to help that neck optimally? Be a high bend point. Boom. Bend it down. Okay? Vice versa, if this was the neck and it was on the left, when I flip the person over, C7 becomes my bend point. One bend point on one side, the opposite on the other. And when I do this, I get this action of the neck bending this way because it's a tensegral system. It's a balloon elastic system. And I create a wedge through C7 that bends the head up, bends the neck up. This one does just the opposite. Got me? Beautiful. Okay. And then what I do is I add the rotations. Okay? So in this one, my release sequence is RL. My My right side up on my bend point is C0, C1. Call it high if you want. On the opposite side, it's low. And I'm going to rewrite my release sequence with the rotations now. And I'm going to go R. What's my rotation on the right side? Anterior, posterior. Yeah, my left side is posterior. Here it is. Left side is posterior, posterior. If they're anterior, posterior, you're going to have to play both. I play both anyway, but just want you to hear that. This is first touch with a lot of people. So left, posterior. So on the left side, it's LP. So it must be RA on the opposite side. Pretty simple. So my release sequence with rotations is RA, LP. And you can pop that in your brain. RA, LP. The only thing you have to look at is then what's your bend point on either side. Okay, and there's a very simple rule. Okay, this is what it looks like. Okay, so I'm gonna go. Let me go back. I'm gonna go do this slide first, guys. I think it'll be easier if you see this. Okay. So when we have a coplanar neck, which means if I have a right side up with a right neck tilt, my bend point is high, C0, C1. So when I have a coplanar neck, okay, right side up with a right neck tilt, I've got a high bend point. All right, easy to remember it that way. You can just look at the neck, see if it's coplanar with the side that you're on. I got a high bend point. When I have a non-coplanar neck, meaning I have the right side up with a left neck tilt, they're not coplanar, non-coplanar, I have a C7, T1 bend point. Okay? So from there, okay, these are rules, right? So coplanar neck, high bend point. Non-coplanar neck, low bend point. Whatever the bend point is, I go I to S to it from below. So below the bend point is I to S. Below the bend point is always I to S. So if I have a C0 bend point on the right side, I will go I to S all the way to C0 or C1. And what will I do at C1 and C0? I can go S to I. That's my opposite point. That's where I go opposite. This is huge for you Mod 2 and 3 guys. And Brad. Okay? If my bend point was C7, I would go I to S to the bend point, because I to S always below the bend point, and then I go S to I above it. So C0 down to C7, S to I for a low bend point, and I to S up to C7, T1, C7. Boom, 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 boom. And when you start seeing that visually, I'm giving you the rules first, okay? When you start seeing that, then off you go, okay? And you start protecting the neck and moving everything and moving the can and turning the can three-dimensionally. All right? So let's look at this, okay? My release sequence for this patient, okay? Right here, this is another patient. The weights on the right is left, right. Left, right. Left, right. That's my RS. On the left side, okay, what's my bend point? Is the neck coplanar on that side or non-coplanar? It's not coplanar, it's right. Okay, so it's a low bend point. So left side, C7, T1. On the right side then, pretty simple, where it's coplanar, right side, coplanar, right and right, is C0, C1. Okay, so on this patient, when I have the left side up, I'm going to go I to S up to C7, T1. I'm going to get into that low trap and into that, below that spinous and go I to S, I to S, I to S. And when I start going to C6 and C0 to C6, I'm going to come down the line. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, and I'll do just the opposite on the other side. When I go on the right side, my bend point is C0 and C1. It's high. So when I'm on the right side up here, I'm going to go all the way up to it. Okay, I to S below, S to I above. Fair enough? Okay. So go ahead and do number one. We are out of time right now, but maybe we're gonna go another 10, 15 minutes at most. Nope, this is the last slide. Woohoo! Let's do one. Friedman, way to go.
Hey, Russell,
Yeah.
on this example, the patient has counter rotation. So what do you look at for the release for the RS with rotations?
Where? Number one?
The last slide with the bend point rules, previous slide with the bend point rules, the patient has counter rotation.
Excellent. Yeah, so what I first, yeah, so you would check both ways, which I do anyway. Okay? Fair enough? You go anterior, posterior, which I do anyway. Okay, this is trying to understand it in a linear way of lines. It's a line concept. Okay, with this one, because nobody is linear. Everybody's got up, everybody's got down, everybody's got anterior, posterior. So I follow the rules of the bend point, and I check 3 dimensions of rotation, anterior, posterior, up and down on those joints. Okay.
So what is the point of this release sequence with rotations then?
90% of the people are coplanar, and it's a very easy way for a person that's just coming into this first time is to see it in that singular way, singular plane. That's what.
Thank you. Okay.
You got it. Not like you, okay, who doesn't see it that way. Okay, beautiful. All right, let's do number one. Okay, how we doing? Yeah, so yesterday's class was to be able to look at this listing and say what's going on with the pattern, what's going on where the stress is, the wedges, the dysfunctions, what's normal, what's not normal, what pattern it's in. Okay, you see there's non-integration here. You see the rotations are little. You see the weight is nothing crazy. It's 10 pounds. Okay, you see trouble here, right? Body's trying to hold it up on center, leaning out left 10, so that right side is on that low QL, that right QL is tough. And then there's this big Z between the head and the neck and the shoulders, a very small area, right? I mean, what is the spine supposed to do? The spine's supposed to be the modulator, really, right? Maybe, or the femur heads. Okay, pretty much those are the two guys. That's it, pattern 1 or pattern 2. It's either the femur heads or the spine. You know, long lever, flowing motion, nice and easy. And then the shoulders and the neck are kind of sitting on top of each other. But when you have a 15, 18-pound head and a neck going the other way, and then the shoulders going the opposite, you know, get that Z through there, that is a peanut butter sandwich that is going to have a lot of stuff squeezing out the sides. Okay, it's not happy. So this person, you would walk in and you would say they're definitely having some type of headaches and neck issues and brainstem stuff or TN or any of that stuff, TMJ issues, because everything's all bending all over the place. Okay, just off the, you know, for fun. So now we want to say, okay, we're going to lay him down in a nice neutral position. We're going to put him in temporal support. We got a nice span, nice neutral. The knees are bent. Everybody's cool. Russell Friedman's going to go down and he's going to start trying to connect and dial in and not disrupt the nervous system. He's going to take his thumb and just move through and just feel the motion, feel the bend point, feel where that line is with my thumb, and let the patient know where that line is. Okay? Nice and easy. And I'm going to check all the piano keys at some point. Okay, that's what I do. That's a full service call. You check all the whole piano. You don't just check one of the keys. Okay, you check them all. Make sure it's all firing, you know, structure, function. Can it play, baby? Got to have the structure right first. So is everything tone? All right, tone. Oh, I love that. Look at that. Okay, so what's my release sequence? Weight is 10. It's right and left. What's going on the right side? On the right side, I know on the left side it's anterior. So I'll put an A here and I put a P there. The only reason I started doing this, okay, I do this in my mind, okay, because I don't like walking back and forth to go look at the listing, you know. So I at least remember this. I still got to step off to see where the bend point is and kind of the action or the weakness. I step off, you know. I step off. I try to get connected, and then once I get connected a little bit, I step away. Because my body needs to relax because I get a little crazy when I'm trying to connect because I just want to get in there as fast as possible and my ego gets in the way. It stinks. So I try to step off and compose my calmness, turn my sympathetics off, okay? So the bend point on the right side is where? Where's the neck on the right side? It's on the left. Non-coplanar. Who's talking to me? It's non-coplanar. What's the bend point?
Low.
Nobody knows?
5 is C7.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I mean, you just got to remember that, okay? So when it's non-coplanar, my bend point is going to be my high point. Excuse me, my low point. C7, T1. Okay? Which makes this one C0, C1. Okay? And what's my line of drive up to C7 and T1? Okay? It's I to S. I to S. In the range of, and where is it above? S to I, S to I, S to I, S to I, S to I. And when I turn them over, okay, and I got a high bend point, when I have a high bend point, boom, 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 bang. This is the one that brings the head up and around and pulls and tugs on that side. That's the S to I line. Okay. Questions? That's what this looks like. That's what this tells you. And what this is a C0, C1, high bend point. Everything is I to S to it. Everything is S to I above it. Okay? SPs, lamina, TPs, anything that you can grab, fascia, okay, it all and in the line of drive. And This is the rotation, whatever I'm doing here. And here I'm going through the rotation and then I to S. Through the rotation, I to S. Through the rotation, grabbing and releasing in the line of drive of the bend point demand. Here it's I to S, here it's SI. So here it's here and down. Here and down. Here it's here and up. You see the transitions.
Question, Russell?
Yes.
On the slide before that slide right there,
Mm-hmm.
on the bend points, should it, I think there might be a typo, maybe, as far as high bend point, low bend point, that one right there, should that be the C0?
Yeah, that one's wrong. We said that already.
Yeah, well, I missed that, sorry.
Okay, no problem. Yeah, you know, I'm guaranteed to have a typo in everything that I do. It's just like you think I'm kidding? It is literally by direct experience. I used to get so upset about it. Now it's like breathing. You know, it's just what it does. I can't even write a post without you guys already know.
Oh yeah, we know that.
If you see anything that I post, you already know. You got to go. This guy has got to be the dumbest thing in town. Yeah, it's just crazy. I know. I can't. It's like the law of the land. So here it is. Maybe we'll have another one just for fun, but here it is so far, and that's what it is. Okay. All right. So thank you, Doug. Okay. So here's the other side of it. When I have the low bend point, C7, T1, I to S, I to S, I to S. S to I, 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 S to I. Okay? You see the way I did this? Because this motion through here bends the head and really uses the head as that angular momentum. Okay? This one really bends right here. It creates the bend, okay, for that shoulder. And then here's some rotation. I could go the other way, and it would be down, and down, and down, and down, and down. And here would be down and up. Okay? Here's my S to I's. Here's my I to S. Here's my bend point. And these are just figurative ranges of lines of drive that I would use randomly. I could put them down too. It wasn't specific for a posture. It was just specific to show you a line, okay? To include some rotation.
Hey, Russell,
Yes.
that doesn't, you're not talking about like TP, lamina, SP contacts on there. Now, those are just general lines.
Well, they are general lines, but that's where the main meat is.
Yeah.
That's where you grab stuff, mostly because you grab stuff usually on that tendinous junction where the SP or the TP, you know, right in that area, and you know, and you dig down and you overcome that. Eventually, you can literally feel the bone, and then you can lever the bone. You know. Yeah. So this is kind of like the lateral side, and this is the lamina, and these are the SPs. I drew them in specifically for that. Okay. Now, somebody may have a contact here, but I feel all these pathways. Okay. This is back stuff here, SP stuff. I did want to bring up a piece here. I don't know if I've included it, but C7 is a monster spinous. T1, whatever the vertebral prominence is. And I look at that for you Mod 3 guys, you M doctors, and even the S, is that this thing right here needs three-dimensional motion if you really want to spring the person open. You should feel that release all the way around as much as you can, and it's a great contact to release and open everything in the end.
Regardless of anterior, superior, or posterior.
Everything has to move three-dimensionally. Whatever range of that thing should move three-dimensionally. You'll feel tension on one side versus the other. You'll see. What you want to do is create three-dimensional symmetry. So like Brad, when you're using your piezoform here, you should have the same symmetry that's here and here and here kind of motion. You know, not that it has to be like this, but you should feel that relaxation and all this, because everything, you didn't open up. If you did cadaver work, you didn't open up and say, Oh, look at that spinous. Oh, there's the little fishing line that goes to that. It was like a web that went to it three-dimensionally around it, right? Everything.
Right.
Of course, you got to feel that everything's 360.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, that's the end of 3. We have one more left. We're going to talk about how to apply this in a more of a specific way. All right, we're going to look at just a little bit more specifically. You can look ahead, and then we're going to I'm just going to show you what I do a little bit, like I did yesterday. Nothing fancy, because to get to the bend point and bend it all the way through, I need to work somebody all the way through, and that is best at a conference where we just get everybody's adjusting everybody, and everybody gets to watch. Okay, or you get to feel it. All right, so today and yesterday, we're trying to do more biomechanics stuff or chalkboard stuff, conceptual. Is there any questions? Dr. Yoshi.
Okay, so what's right, this one?
This one?
So yes, so then even on right side, left side, so we have to check everything. C0 to C7 and TP, lamina, SP, everything.
This is checking everything. Okay. Here's checking spinuses, lamina, TPs, feeling for the musculature. I mean, I check the hyoid, I check the clavicle. These are all attachments for the whole thing. I mean, what do you think that stuff is? You know, they're all attachments. All right. So you should feel suppleness. Now, obviously, there are bigger places than there are smaller places. Okay. Big place, big place, big place, big place. Big place, big place, big place. Kind of big places. All right. Staying in this range of line of drive of I to S and S to I releases the postural muscles and releases things three-dimensionally. Okay. At a module 1, module 2 level. It's not that this is wrong. It's just we're going to add to it three-dimensionally. Okay. All right. Very good. Well done, guys. I hope that helps. This is been a great class. I feel good about it. I hope you do as well. I certainly, I really appreciate everybody that's on. All right, I'll see you all back here at what time? 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock. Okay, is that right? Yeah, 3 o'clock. See you later.